What is up, my friends and family here? So we're doing a coffee chat today. I'm gonna get ready with you guys. I've obviously already gotten ready at this point, and just chat with you guys about what is going on in our life, some updates, also answering some questions you guys have had about some of the stuff I've talked about, just things in life. I don't know. We talk about a lot and we get a little, maybe a little too deep. I also share a story I didn't think I would actually share on YouTube, so strap in. So I'm excited. I do these once a month. I always add them to my coffee chat playlist. So if you wanna, maybe you missed one in the past or you wanna watch more of them, I'll link that playlist. You can check it out because I love doing this. It's probably my favorite video that I film each month, if I'm being honest. I love just chatting with you guys. So that's what we're gonna do today. Today's video is very kindly sponsored by Storyworth. I love Storyworth. You guys, I've been talking about them for years and I continually get DMs from you guys thanking me for mentioning it because you've used it as a gift idea for a loved one in your life. So what Storyworth is a way that you can get those stories out of your family members. If you've got a mom, a dad, someone you love that has amazing stories, maybe they are a little bit older and you want to hear those stories and you want a way to preserve them, that's what this is for. And Father's Day is like 2 seconds away. It is such an amazing Father's Day gift. So basically what it is they will email a prompt to, let's say, your father or a father figure in your life. It's usually a really thoughtful question like, you know, what were you like in your 30s? Or if you could do your whole life differently, what would you change? Those kinds of questions that really pull out really interesting thoughts and stories from your loved one, and it will compile all of their questions and answers and any images they uploaded into a beautiful keepsake hardcover book at the end of the year. I love this because not only do you get to enjoy it, but it's preserved forever. You can order extra copies. You can share it with maybe siblings in your life. It's a great Christmas gift or birthday gift to them as well. It is all around one of the best gifts I've ever given to. We've given it to my dad and my mom. We've also given it to my husband's parents, and it's been so fun reading their stories. Some of my favorites have been like my dad shared about all of the different places he's lived and the different types of housing he's lived in. And some of it I just never knew. Like he at one point lived in tenement housing in, I think, Cleveland with his grandma and his mom. And like, I didn't know any of this. And he even found an image to put with it of where that tenement was because it's no longer standing. So just hearing about those pieces of his life. He also shared some stories when he was in the Navy. And I think it's easy to forget that our parents, I know this is obvious, but our parents were young ones too. So I love hearing about the stories about when they were in their 20s or early 30s and what they were like and what, you know, how many kids did they have at that point? Like my parents started having kids a lot younger than I did. So hearing about how their life was different at 30 than mine was at 30 is really illuminating, and it kind of shows me why they are the way they are today. I clearly love this. I love talking about it and I love sharing it with you guys because I know so many of you guys have given Storyworth as a gift to a mom or a dad, and you've gotten to hear some amazing stories from them too. So it's definitely something to consider with Father's Day around the corner. It's also a great birthday gift, Christmas gift, Mother's Day gift. I mean, there's so many holidays I feel like we're always buying gifts for. This is probably the most important gift you could possibly give. So if you want to try out Storyworth, you can go to storyworth.com/JessicaB to get $10 off your first purchase. I'm telling you, you won't regret it. It's also a great last minute gift idea for whatever holiday, including Father's Day, because you can literally sign up for it and buy it the day of. You know what I mean? Like there's no physical thing you need to give this gift because it's at the end of the year, of course, that you get the printed hardback book. So definitely excited to be working with them again. Thank you so much, Storyworth. I will have the link to check it out down in the description box. And yeah, that's it. Let's go ahead and get into chatting about what is going on in my life. All right, so I'm gonna throw on some lip balm. This is the Lip Glowy Balm from Laneige. I treat it like a lip balm. I guess it's meant to be. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I used to wear this a lot just like as my lip gloss, and I've kind of forgotten about it. And so then I view it more as a lip gloss, but really I guess it is meant to be a lip balm. I don't know. It's awesome. If you have not tried one of these, you really should. They have 1,000,000 scents. This is the grapefruit, which I think is still my favorite. Okay, it has been a minute. So first of all, I'm literally using my travel makeup bag. So you're getting a little sneak peek of what's in here because I didn't really feel like picking out different stuff. I was like, I'm just going to use what we just got back last night or yesterday midday. So I figure it makes sense for me to just use what I already have. Anyway, so hi, it's been a minute. Now I know you probably can't tell that it's been a minute because It really hasn't in your world, but we've been gone for a week and it was so nice to get away. It was obviously our first trip with 2 kids, our first trip with Genevieve and Felicity, and it honestly, it was a little road trip. The farthest we drove in one day was 6 hours. So we broke it up every 2 hours. It worked out really well. I'd read something that kind of freaked me out the other day, and I had never heard before, but that you really should limit the amount of time a young baby is in their car seat. There can be like issues, like medical things that can happen. I'm sure it's rare, but it freaked me out enough that I was like, all right, we need to stop every couple hours. Everyone gets out of the car. We all, diaper change, bathroom, etc. We get our wiggles out. I can feed her, etc. So we stuck to that. And so it was honestly kind of pleasant. Felicity is at an age, she's 7 weeks, where she sleeps so much that she was the easiest part of the trip, which is funny, other than, waking up in the middle of the night to feed her. We were doing that at home either way, so that was no different. But anyway, it went really well. Genevieve is at a fun age. We went to Michigan, and if you didn't know, we live in the Midwest. We live in Indiana. And driving to Michigan, like as kids, like our families really didn't do a lot in Michigan. I never went to Michigan until I was older. Like we never went, which is funny because it's, like 2.5 hour drive to hit Michigan from us. But it was just one of those places we never went. I don't really know why. So as adults, Tyler and I have just fallen in love with so many areas of Michigan, and we love going up there, and it's not usually a big deal. It's just a little road trip for us. So we went to Traverse City, one of our favorite places. We always say that if we ever were to buy a vacation home, not just for us, but like to rent out as an Airbnb, because that's something we'd love to do in the future, it would probably be in Traverse City because there's so much to do there. You can still be on water, but then there's like the cute downtown. There's great restaurants. So we love it there. We go there. At this point, we've been going like maybe once every other year, give or take. Then we went to Mackinac Island, which is one of our favorite places as well. It's the 3rd time we've gone. And actually, when Genevieve was a baby, our first trip with her was a road trip around Michigan, which is kind of what started all of this. And that's why we wanted to do that this time. It's like becoming a tradition. Like first trip with baby is to Michigan. Anyway, and we took her to Mackinac Island as well. And it was, of course, she doesn't remember, but it was so much fun. We did a carriage ride. If you didn't know, Mackinac Island is a place that there's no cars allowed. There's not a single car, y'all. I think maybe there's an emergency vehicle. I don't even know if there's an emergency vehicle because I don't even know where they'd get gas. Anyway, no cars are allowed. So literally, taxis are a horse and carriage. It's so freaking fun. Anyway, but ate good food, got to meet a subscriber there, which was just cool. I've never met a subscriber on Mackinac Island. That was a first. We finally stayed at the Grand Hotel. The Grand Hotel there is historic. It's been there a long time. And actually, I learned my brother is like the family historian, which is no surprise. He has like a history blog. Shameless plug, I'll link it. It's really freaking good. Anyway, especially if you're into like American history. He did a deep dive into our family, and we learned that we have a lot of family history there, which is crazy because even today, only a couple hundred people live there year round. And so the fact that we had family that lived there and like ran hotels there, how funny is that? Back in the late 1800s and early 1900s is crazy because again, not many people live there. So the odds of it are very slim. I come from a very Irish line. And so my great-grandma met her great-grandpa there, and they lived there. Both of them separately had immigrated to there from Ireland, so it was kind of a common area, I should say. I'm pretty sure that Irish people would emigrate to. Anyway, point of the story is we got to see the 2 different hotels that my family's connected to, that my family owned, 150 years ago. That was really neat. One of them was actually purchased by the Grand Hotel. I'm like going into this, I know. But one of them was purchased by the Grand Hotel and is now used for housing for some of their employees. So that was just kind of cool too. But Gigi had a freaking ball. She loved doing the horse and carriage. She was just excited to go to, they have like a toy store there. She was excited to pick out a toy from there. The things that a 3-year-old would be excited about. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. We stayed at the Grand Hotel. I'm going to be honest. I think it's overpriced for what it is. And I really mean, like, it is overpriced. But we were celebrating Tyler's 30th birthday. So it was kind of one of those, like, special occasions. He's always wanted to stay there. I now know that I had family that helped build the Grand Hotel there. So it's another just cool connection. But anyway, so that was fun. And then we drove down to an area called Muskegon, Michigan, which there wasn't a crazy amount to do right there. Kind of just it's like any town. There's plenty of like restaurants and stuff there, but from there we stayed in an Airbnb that was right on Lake Michigan, and it's so beautiful. The views were ridiculous. I'll post a little like picture or video right now so you can see. Absolutely stunning. It wasn't super expensive, at least when we stayed there compared to other places nearby that were also on Lake Michigan. So we loved just taking our coffee out and just like looking out like, Anyways, but we drove down to Holland, Michigan, and it's like a very Dutch, I'm assuming it's Dutch settlers that had settled there at some point because it's a very Dutch town, hence the Holland name. We went to this cute little Dutch village theme park thing, but it was like in a strip mall parking lot, and it was so weird, but so much fun. Genevieve loved it. There was like a carousel there. So that was a fun little thing we did, and we were gonna go to Michigan's Adventure Theme Park. I didn't even know there was a theme park. It was only like 4 hours away, again, from where we live. Had no idea it was there. I've never heard about it. And we were going to go. It was like opening day, but it was so rainy. And luckily we hadn't bought tickets yet. That's probably a good lesson. So we decided to just stay in the Airbnb the very last day. But we did vlog the entire trip. It'll be a fun one, so definitely check it out. It'll be going up on Tyler's channel where we do all that, which is Tyler Travels TV. That was a blast, but we got home yesterday and just tired. You know what I mean? We were just tired. So I went and picked up little Pinocchio. My parents were watching him, and we were excited to all be together. And while we were there, we did watch a couple of movies. We watched Raya and the Last Dragon, which we had not seen. It's a Disney Plus thing. And then we also watched the new Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers movie. That was so good. I actually haven't even seen the last like 10 minutes because I fell asleep, so I need to catch the last. But it was so great. And if I didn't even really watch Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, but there are so many allusions to so many 90s cartoons, you will die. And it's not even just Disney stuff. Like, it's just incredible. Tyler and I just kept looking at each other and we were like, this is so good. Like, it was so genuinely fun to watch. And Andy Samberg, who we love, and John Mulaney are Chip and Dale. And so fantastic. Just fantastic casting. So much fun to watch. Loved it. So I wanted to kind of update you on the trip because I did get a lot of questions about it. Like, where did you guys go? Because I posted a little bit on Instagram, and then I really didn't post a ton because we were just enjoying ourselves, and we were vlogging it too. But I was asking you guys about, like, okay, what do you want to chat about? Like, what are you kind of curious about? Because I haven't done a Q&A. I do coffee chat Q&As like, what, once a month? I posted this picture, I'll pop up here, of Felicity smiling. She started smiling recently, and it's so random and so rare right now that when she does, I'm just enjoying it. I don't have my camera right there. But this time she was smiling so much, I was like, okay, I'm going to try to film and get a little picture of her smiling. And I got that one. So that's what I used to ask the question, like, what do you guys want to talk about? Anyway, so I screenshot some of your guys' questions. And I figure we'll just touch on some of them that I feel like answering today. Do you and Tyler share the same religious beliefs? Actually, no. I've talked about this a little bit. We don't. And it's funny. I think we're just trying to figure things out. And this is something I feel like people don't talk about. We both grew up in the same religion, and I feel more close to that religion than he is. And it's interesting because he went to that religion school. And I just feel like we're so in between. We don't agree with everything that it preaches. And so we feel like we're both kind of searching for what our fit is. And that's kind of where we are. I think we agree on a lot more than we even realize we do, but he's just had bad experiences, and I think that's really tainted a lot of his feelings towards that religion. And there's a lot, like I said, that we both agree that we don't agree with that. And so that's why I know I'm dancing around it, because I know there's a lot of you guys that are probably this religion watching. You probably already figured it out. And it's just so hard. Don't you feel like, especially if you were raised in a certain religion, I feel like you have that time in young adulthood where you kind of take a step back and you look at the religion that you were maybe brought up in, and you're like, maybe I don't agree with everything. You know what I mean? I feel like I kind of took things blindly for a while, and now as a parent, I'm thinking through like, well, you know, maybe I don't agree with that, but maybe I do agree with this, and I like that part of it. And so do I think there's a religion that's just perfect? No, I don't think any religion is perfect, but I think that if that's something that's important to you, and that is something that's important to me, then it's worth continuing to search. And for me, I pray about. We're just kind of in between. We're still searching, but I think that's important. I think if we just resigned ourselves, because this is something important to me, if we just resigned ourselves to not just being like, well, I guess, you know, that one didn't work out, so that's that. I think it's important to just keep searching. So we're just in between. Maybe we always will be. I don't know. But I definitely pray. I definitely believe in God, and I'm definitely a Christian. Like, those I fully am. And we still baptize our kids because I feel that that's important, and that's something I want for them. We'll see as they get older where they end up. Because, like I said, I think it's important as you get older to really think about your religion and not just blindly follow, and just think about, do I agree with this? Is this what I believe? Anyways, moving along. Oh, this is a fun, quick, easy one. As a former teacher, what are good appreciation presents to get them? Teacher Appreciation Week was a few weeks ago at this point, but if you were getting them an end of the year gift or just knowing for the future, I taught for 4 years. I taught 6th grade and then 5th grade, the last 3, and I loved it. I could see myself one day going back to teaching, just not anytime soon. Like, while I have YouTube as my job right now, I'm so enjoying this that I'm not in a rush to go back. Anyway, gift cards. Guys, gift cards. Because even if it's just a $5 or $10 gift card, you might think like, well, what's the point? It's just, I'm just going to get them a $5 or $10 gift card or whatever. A, it adds up. But B, you know, you get a lot of coffee mugs that say teacher and ornaments and things like that. And while those can be lovely, please don't, you know, if you've ever gotten that, don't feel bad. But you get a lot of that, even in the 4 years I taught. You get a lot of the same thing. So it's always nice. Gift cards are useful, you know, Starbucks, Target, just a Visa gift card. Those are always the things that I was like, yes. You get a lot of, you know, we get a lot of candy and chocolate, which, listen, I love that too. But especially if you can at least find out what the teacher's favorite candy is. I know a lot of schools, my last school had a binder that we'd fill out every year, and it was like all of our favorites. So then if a parent wanted to know like, hey, can I see that page of Mrs. Braun's favorites, they could look at it and take a picture of it and know like, okay, her favorite candy is Reese's, like everyone. I'm just kidding, but right? Reese's are the best. I tried recently the Reese's with pretzel in them. You guys. Also, I saw they have Reese's. I know it's Reese's. I say Reese's, just deal with it, okay? I cannot break it. I've tried. The Reese's with potato chips in them. And at first I'm like, ew, what? And then I'm like, but wait a minute, actually, I dip my fries in my chocolate Frosty from Wendy's. So why would that not also be delicious? I think it's going to be good. But the one with pretzels is so good because it's a Reese, as you know and love it. But you add in the crunch and salt of a pretzel within. Those are dangerously good. Okay. But you gotta get, I've had the small ones and those are good, but you gotta get the like full Reese with the pretzel because then you get the full effect of it. Side note, the palette I'm using is the Summer Unrated palette from NARS. I don't know if this is limited edition or not edition. I honestly, this was sent to me in PR and I was gonna pass it on. But then I saw, oh my gosh, who was it that I saw use it? Lauren May Beauty. I had to make sure it was her that I saw. She was talking about how much she loves this and how much she's loving the formula and stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure I just got that in PR. Pulled it out, loving it. This is the only eyeshadow I brought on the trip and it is so beautiful. I'm praying it's not limited edition. I feel like NARS keeps releasing palettes, then they're gone. And I'm like, just make something permanent, please. Just like, anyway, I'm clearly mad about it. So I just use this color here. Just all over. It reminds me of the one from the M Cosmetics palette I've loved for years. It's just so pretty. One shadow look, but it looks really just kind of fun and summery. And the New Orleans story. I don't know, man. Do I want to tell this story? I'm going to somehow get heat for this. And I'm trying to decide what part of the story, like, why am I nervous to tell this? First of all, I want to preface it with, this was like 10 years ago, okay? It was like literally 10 years ago. But we were maybe a little less. We were both 21, so I guess it couldn't have been a full 10 years ago because he would have been 20. It was a long time ago, regardless. We were in New Orleans. We found a cheap flight. We did not have much money, okay? We found the cheapest hotel we could find, the cheapest flight. We were gonna like go to the grocery store and like eat that way. You know, the ways you save money on a trip. That's important in this story to know that we did not have much money. We had gotten there, I wanna say like midday. We got to our hotel, we were all excited. We'd gotten like a couple snacks and stuff. And I think we'd gotten like a bottle of wine, something like that. So we brought it back to the hotel. We were enjoying some wine. I think we'd only had like a glass of wine. That's also important in this story to know that we were pretty sober and that we didn't have a lot of money and that we were young. Okay. So we are like, all right, let's go. It's nighttime. Let's go walk down Bourbon Street, see what's going on. Maybe grab a snack, maybe grab a drink while we're out. That was the goal. And then we were like, we'll walk kind of to the end of it and back to the hotel. That'll kind of be the night. We're walking and it's so fun and vivacious and vibrant. And, you know, one thing to know about Bourbon Street is, yes, it can get very rowdy, but from what we experienced, you know, I always think of like, oh, you know, you're going to see exposed people, if you will. I don't know if you've got kids around. It really wasn't like that. I think that's just on like, what's the holiday? Not Carnival, not Ash Wednesday. You know what I'm talking about? Like Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras. Why couldn't I got there eventually. That's more like Mardi Gras. We didn't experience any of that. So maybe I'm wrong, but we even at night, we didn't see. It was rowdy, but not like that. Anyways, we're walking down the street and we stop at, I'm not joking, I'm pretty sure this is the very first place we stopped. We go in and there's like a Zydeco band playing. And so we're just kind of dancing, enjoying. We love music. We love live music. So we're literally just standing there enjoying the band. There weren't a lot of people there, but there was this waitress who had kind of like a cigarette girl would have back in like the, 40s or whatever. She had like a tray connected to her and it had these test tubes of liquid. Stop me if I've told you this story. I can't remember if I've ever told this on my channel. I have strong suspicions that I haven't. So she has these test tube things and there's no sign on her. Again, these are all important details, I promise. There's no sign on her or anything that says like what they are, how much they cost. And it's really loud because of the band. So she walks up to us. Again, we were wanting to get a drink, but we wanted to get like something classic, like a Hurricane or something that's, like cheesy touristy drink, but like we're there and we're tourists. So that's what we wanted to get. So we weren't planning on getting anything at this bar. We were going to go to a different one. We were just enjoying the music. And again, we were very specific about how we were spending our money because we did not have a lot. She kind of comes up to us and she's talking to us and we can't really hear her. Oh, no. Back it up. What's wrong with me? I'm already screwing up the most important part of the story. She walks up to us and I'm looking for like a sign. She doesn't say anything. That's what was weird about it. Because I remembered thinking if she says something to us, we wouldn't really be able to hear it because it's so loud. Like Tyler and I, we couldn't. So there was a chance, but she didn't say anything. Her mouth never opened or moved. I kept waiting for her to say something to us. So she's kind of looking at us and we're looking at her and it was kind of weird. She starts picking up a test tube and I'm thinking, oh, she's going to like offer it to us or whatever. And so Tyler, I'm pretty sure it was him, said, "Are these free?" And she didn't say anything. She put the back of the test tube in her mouth, leaned me backwards, and dumped the front of it into my mouth. You know what I mean? Weird, first of all. It was weird, but it all happened so fast. Like, it all happened so fast. And so Tyler had already asked her if it was free and she didn't answer. And so I'm like, well, then certainly this is free. So then we're kind of laughing and I'm like struck. You know what I mean? It was just so weird. I didn't know how to react. And then she does the same thing, gets another one and pours it down Tyler's throat the same way. Really weird. And so Tyler and I are kind of like in a daze, like looking at each other like that was weird. Tasted very sweet like Kool-Aid, okay? So I'm like, oh, they probably were free. They were non-alcoholic because there was no way there was alcohol in it. It was so sweet. If there was, it would have been the tiniest amount. Let's say about 5 minutes passed. We're like, well, that was weird. We don't see her anymore. And again, she at no point said anything to us. At no point. We are about to leave and we've enjoyed the band enough. We're like, all right, let's go like find a drink for real. So we start walking out and the girl chases us down and she goes, that'll be, and it was like, what? It was such a ridiculous price. She was like, that'll be like $45. And we were like, for what? And finally we can hear her because we're like out the door. And she goes, that'll be like $45. And we're like, for the test tubes? We asked you if they were free. We thought they were free. She said, no, they weren't free. Why would they be free? And so we're just like, confused. You know what I mean? And we're kind of like taken aback because we're like, what? And we're thinking, we don't have $45 to spend on this. Like, we've got to get dinner tonight. Like, that was the amount we were going to spend on dinner and a drink, maybe. Like, maybe a little bit more than that. And so I'm starting to tear up instantly because I'm like, we cannot afford, like, if we're doing this, we're not eating dinner tonight. Like, why are we paying for this? We didn't even want it. It didn't even taste like anything. We didn't want it. Like, we didn't ask for it. And we even asked if it was free and she didn't answer. Like I said, I'm starting to get teary-eyed. Tyler's getting upset. We're young and we're not, like at this age now, we're brazen enough to be like, no, absolutely not. But we were still, even though we were typically scared of saying anything to, let me finish my liner and we'll continue the story. So, like I said, I'm getting teary-eyed. Tyler is starting to get mad. I'm starting to get mad too. And we're like, we didn't ask for this. We asked you if it was free. And we're reiterating everything I just told you guys. And we're getting heated. And so finally Tyler said, I need to talk to whoever's in charge here because this is ridiculous. Like we didn't, So finally some big burly dude comes up and he's like, what seems to be the problem? And we're like, okay, perfect. Like we can explain what's going on to him. He'll be like, all right, I understand. She should have told you how much it was. All the things that you're probably thinking right now listening to this story. That's what I thought was going to happen. That is not what happened. The guy said, well, it sounds to me like you drank the drink, so you have to pay. And I said, you're not understanding how this went down. We were not asked if we wanted it. We were not told how much it cost. We even asked if it was free and she didn't answer. At no point did she say anything to us until the very end when we could finally hear her that we supposedly owed her money, 10 minutes later. I said, and on top of that, we were not given a split second to even think because she just dumped it down our throat. And I'm emphasizing, and I'm really getting heated, but I'm also getting super emotional because I'm thinking this is so wrong. Like, we did not do anything wrong here. And then Tyler's like, and anyway, I'm pretty sure there's no alcohol in that anyway. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. I'm pretty sure that was just Kool-Aid. So they're trying to charge us, $40 something, like $20 a piece for something that definitely didn't have alcohol in it and that we didn't want. Also, I'd never spend that much ever. I could be a billionaire. I would never spend $20 on some weird test tube of liquid at a New Orleans bar that we just walked into, ever. So the guy is siding with the waitress and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And so finally Tyler said, then we're going to need to call the cops. Like, this is getting ridiculous. By this point, it's getting loud. We're outside the bar and Tyler kept saying, check the tape. Where's the security camera? I'll go with you to the security room, whatever. We're going to go watch this tape and you can see what went down. And the guy's like, no, we're not allowed to show you that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. And that may be true. I don't know. But Tyler kept saying, check the tape. He said, fine, then let's get the police involved. So Tyler's got his phone and we're like literally about to call the police. And I'm like, well, it's not. And I'm like, don't call the emergency line. Like, I don't want, let's find the actual police number. So we're getting to that point. And finally, I don't remember if Tyler actually got through to the police or what happened next. But I remember at some point, this other family gets involved. And it's this man with his wife, and I think they're two friends, and they're probably in their 50s-ish. And he comes up to our aid and says, what's going on here? And he's basically trying to help fizzle the situation out. And so we explain our part, and he said, I watched what went down. We were here when this happened. He says, what they're saying is right. That woman, they asked, and I guess the guy said he heard or saw Tyler ask, are these free? So he was basically siding with us the whole way, and he hadn't even heard the whole story we'd been telling all along. He actually witnessed it. And so the wife is there too, and she says, we saw it too. That woman just poured them down her throats. She didn't say anything to them. Then she walked away, and then suddenly she's asking them to pay. And he was so nice. He was like, these young people can't afford this. That's a ridiculous price for that, blah, blah, blah. And your waitress is in the wrong, blah, blah, blah. And so it was incredible. Finally, it gets heated enough. This guy, he says, I'm a lawyer. This is ridiculous. They could sue you for that. He's just getting really heated. Finally, Tyler's like, well, then maybe this is it. He was like, well, then we're going to finally call the police. And, the lawyer guy's like, yeah, call the police because so finally, the big burly guy's like, nope, they've got to pay. So this sweet man that came to our aid took out like a freaking $50 bill, threw it at the big burly man and said, there. And I wish I could remember exactly what he said, but he said, this is ridiculous. You kids go have fun. And he threw a 50 at them and he said, you don't worry about it. You enjoy the rest of your night. And we were like, and I'm still crying. I'm like, thank you so much. You better believe we went to bed we went straight back to the hotel. We were like, we are not eating. We maybe ordered a pizza because we were starving. That man was the nicest man. And that whole event probably took like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, felt like 5 hours. We later learned, I don't remember who we were talking to, but that can be a very common thing that happens in New Orleans where they're all in cahoots together. The waitress will do that so they make more money. I don't know how it works. And again, I don't know that this is exactly what happened, but boy, it certainly lines up. That they'll do something like that and not tell you how much it costs and then try to corner you into paying a ridiculous price. And then the security guard backs them up and then they can take a cut of it. I don't know if any of that's true. But y'all, it was so sketchy. I always joke when we've told our friends that story. I'm like, so if you're ever in a bar in New Orleans, keep your mouth shut and don't let anyone pour any liquid down your throat. So the best part of the story is that we were there only 2 nights, if I'm remembering right. And we ended up in this cutesy little area kind of near, I don't remember exactly what it was, but New Orleans is not a crazy big city. So it's just basically down the street, but like a cute area with shops and stuff. We ran into that family again and we were like, we just want to thank you again so much. Like, you didn't have to do that. And thank you for defending us. But most importantly, thank you for paying for that. You really didn't have to do that. And he was just so nice and gracious. And he was like, I saw how young you guys were. And I knew that, that kind of amount of money might break you. And it was very, very kind. I wish I could see that family again to thank them again. But if somehow they're seeing this, thank you. Because you saved a young Jesse and Tyler so that we could actually afford the rest of our little trip there. It was just so weird, you guys. It was so weird, but it was one of those moments in life. I'm like, we learned a lot that night. We learned a lot, but that is the New Orleans story. So again, If you're ever in a bar and someone's just gonna pour something down your throat, you keep your mouth shut. You don't let them. All right, what else we gonna talk about? We've covered a lot already, I know. Recommendations on cream bronzers and contouring. All right, this is still my favorite, the Saie Sun Melt Cream Bronzer. It's expensive, but you're not gonna go through it. You're really not, and I have not found anything drugstore price that's better than this yet. I say yet because you never know, but my advice is, we'll go ahead and apply it now. This is the e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. This one is so good with this. e.l.f. has a lot of brushes that are good, but I just go ham in it, and then I literally just tap it on, and it looks so natural, but then you can really lightly kind of blend it just a little bit more, and it's perfect. That's why I'm like, I feel like if your bronzer is too pigmented, it's so hard to work with, and you feel like you have to blend and blend and blend, but this one, you don't, with this brush and this together, you really don't have to blend and blend and blend. Like, it just looks so nice. I have the shade Light Bronze, by the way. I just think this product is so nice. So that's my advice. Get a good brush to work with it. This one works with every cream bronzer I've ever used it with. Tap things in place, and then you can kind of spend a second lightly blending it. And then if it's a good cream bronzer, it'll blend really easily. And you don't need to worry about it picking up the makeup underneath or being hard to blend. That's how this should work. So if you have one that's hard to blend, try a different cream bronzer, because like this one, I'm telling you, is the best one. It's the best. How are you feeling? Any PPD this time around? PPD, postpartum depression? I have not had any. I had my 6-week appointment with my OBGYN a little while ago, and I was approved to get back to exercising and all that stuff. And she did tell me, since I had a C-section this time, she said, you know, I mentioned I really like jogging. I'm excited to get back to that. Do you have any tips? Like, should I? She said, no, you're fully approved to do all of that kind of stuff. She said, just know that while you're getting into it, obviously kind of start slow and build your way up. I'm like, right. And she said, you might feel pressure around the incision for a while. She said, that's normal too. So don't let it freak you out. That's normal, and it'll eventually go away too. So I did do my first like kind of jog exercise the other day. Actually, it was yesterday. And my legs are so sore. But I didn't feel any of that pressure. We'll see as I do more and more. Maybe I will, but I haven't felt it yet. But PPD-wise, I was already on a very low dose. She had me go ahead and start it before I even had Felicity, because she said, you know, if you've had it once before, you're more prone to have postpartum depression again. She said, and this will help curb it right off the bat. And then if you need a higher dose, you can just, you know, send me a message and I can write you a prescription for a higher dose. So I'm on the lowest dose. She said, honestly, it's a baby dose. She said, but if it's working for you, then keep it up. So that's what I'm doing. I don't know if it's the medicine or just that this time around, it was so different. It was such a smooth process that I really haven't felt it. And maybe part of it is I just knew what to expect as well when it comes to newbornhood and what that's like. And I think it's helped that we have somewhat of a schedule that we have to stick to, because we do have another kid that I felt like I would drown in the no schedule life. And while we don't have a schedule like with her sleeping on a schedule or anything, none of that is scheduled. But just the fact that, you know, our toddler comes in at like 7-something in the morning every morning. So we have to start our day and get going. And while that's part of that kind of stinks, it also is nice because it forces us to have kind of somewhat of a normal day. And I think that's what was missing the first time around. And I don't like that. I like having day and night and having things kind of separated. So that has helped me personally a lot. I think it's helped Tyler a lot too. But the other thing is, Felicity honestly has just been an easier baby. I'm looking back at Gigi, I'm like, I think Gigi was a colicky baby. I don't think I really realized it, but her compared to Felicity is night and day when it comes to their crying amount. Felicity's a decent sleeper. You know, she doesn't like sleep through the night all the time. She has a couple times. It was last night she slept through the night, you guys. It was glorious. But that's only happened a handful of times. Most of the time she's still getting up to feed, but it's just been so much better. And I think that's maybe part of why the PPD has been non-existent. I did have some baby blues. I think I already talked about this. I did have some baby blues like the first week, but that went away, and wow, it's just been so different. So if you're someone that you've had it before and you're like, I don't know if I want another kid because of that, there's hope, y'all. There's hope, because this has been so different, so different. I can, at the end of the video, mention everything I use, and I can link everything below, because I know I haven't been saying what I've used each time, and you might be curious. Anyway, so yeah, it's just been so much better. So much better. This is the Stila Convertible Color Cream Blush in the shade Lilium. This is truly such a good product. It's been around forever, and it is truly one of my favorite cream blushes ever. And you can apply it with your fingers, and it takes 2 seconds to blend in. You can apply it with a stippling brush, and it takes 2 seconds to blend in. Like, it's just so good, and it stays in place all day. So connected to that, are you still breastfeeding? I am. It's funny because you may know, if you've been watching me a while, with Genevieve, breastfeeding did not work out. For a million reasons, we did everything. We tried lactation consulting. Y'all, we tried it all. And when I gave up, I felt like such a failure and I cried so much. And it's so sad because I look back and I'm like, Jessica, it wasn't possible. Like it wasn't. Now with her, it's working out. But okay, there's so much to share here. And I know I like overshare sometimes, but it is what it is. With Felicity, every baby loses weight after they're born. Like that is very normal. And it can take a week or two for them to get back up. But it took Felicity longer. And at one point she dipped back down. And so at that point, the doctor was like, and our doctor is really lenient about it. And she kept giving us time to get her back up. And we were in the freaking doctor's office all the time for weight checks. And Felicity was eating well. That's the thing. Like she was eating all the time and she seemed to be, I could hear her gulping and, but she kept losing weight. So finally the doctor was like, all right, let's do a bottle of formula a day. And she was like, I know you've been trying to avoid it, blah, blah, blah. And really it was because once the shortage started, I'm like, are we even going to be able to find any? Like, I don't want to have to start that road if we don't have to. I don't want to take formula away from people that actually need it. Like I've been there. It's very different. If I can breastfeed, then I'm going to keep doing it for the sake of those that need the formula. Anyway, point of the story is we were able to find some and we got a little bit, we started giving it to her and she started gaining some weight. So I'm still fully breastfeeding, but we do 1 bottle a day and it has helped so much. And at the end of the day, it's taken so much pressure off. Like the pressure of me feeling like I have to be able to, meet her need at all times. It's nice to be able to be like, you know what, Tyler, can you go ahead and feed her a bottle? I'll feed her again in a couple hours. I need to go to the store, right? You know what I mean? Like things that it'd be nice to have a couple hours away. So it's given a little bit of freedom. It's taken the pressure off. And then on top of that, she's growing. So I'm still able to breastfeed her. So we're not using a ton of formula. And of course, we're saving money that way. But most importantly, right now, we're not taking away formula from people that like really, really need it, which is what a weird freaking time, man. So stressful. It's funny. Tyler kind of joked the other day. He was like, Jess, you've kind of been through it all. You've had a vaginal birth. You've had a C-section. You've breastfed successfully. You've also formula fed successfully. Like, I really have seen a lot of different sides of all of the possible coins with pregnancy and babies. So it makes me happy that I can empathize with both sides because I've seen so many and it makes me so freaking sad. This is what I was going to say. I've seen so many moms post in like Facebook groups I'm a part of that are like, their babies are born like the same month as mine. So we're all kind of in the same boat. And seeing so many people say like, I've been breastfeeding for a few weeks and it's not working out and we tried everything and I want to switch to formula, but I feel like such a failure. And it makes my heart so sad. I'm like, why is this a part of our culture that, all you're trying to do as a parent is make sure your kid is fed and thriving and healthy. And it makes me so sad that people feel like failures when they have to switch to formula when thank God we live in a time there is formula. You know what I mean? Like if you've tried everything or you just don't want to breastfeed, there's nothing wrong with that. And having done both, like I understand that failure feeling and it makes me sad that that's the way we feel when as a parent. And it is like, if you've ever gone through it, that you feel like a freaking failure and then you feel triggered every time you see someone breastfeeding and it's something you have to get through, man. You just have to get through it and you have to get over it. But it was hard. And that was a big part of my postpartum depression undoubtedly was the fact that it wasn't working out and I didn't want to give up. I felt like a failure. But once we finally switched her over, man, it was amazing. It was amazing. She was thriving. She was crying less because she wasn't hungry. I was crying less. Anyway, you guys still there? I got a lot of questions about like, are we still doing date nights? Like, how are we finding time, just me and Tyler? We really haven't yet. So this question in particular, how do you and Tyler maintain your couple's time with your new addition and Gigi? We honestly haven't figured that out yet. We haven't really gone out without her. We have separately. Now with breastfeeding, it is a little trickier than it was when I was formula feeding. So there's that piece of it. You're kind of leashed to your child in that way. We definitely are planning a little like 1 or 2 night, I guess I'll just have to bring a pump. I haven't thought through it yet, you guys. 1 or 2 night trip to see, actually it'll just be 1 night, to see Billy Joel in concert, but it's a couple hours away. So I've already asked my sister, she's gonna watch her overnight. So I guess I'll just have to bring my pump. I'm trying to think through that because it's only in a few weeks. Very excited about that. That'll be our first like little thing, but we wanna do like a couple times a month, a date night. And so we need to get that figured out with grandparents or whatever to get that going because we're missing that time right now. We really are. The best time of the night is when, usually Felicity's like napping on us in the evening and we're like watching a movie or whatever and eating dessert, and Gigi's asleep, and we're just having a little bit of time together, so that is nice, but it's still not quite the same as like actually having a date night out. So I'm excited to get kind of back into that, because I think we're at the point where we're like, okay, like we need to get back to that. Next, vacation. So we haven't booked it yet, but we want to go to Disney soon. There's so much new that has opened that Tyler is dying to try. And of course, I feel like I always over-explain this because some people don't get it, and that's fine. You know, some people hate on us for how often we go to Disney. Well, it's my husband's job. And he can either go to Disney alone to experience these new things, or we can go with him. And I also love Disney, so why wouldn't we go with him? Gigi loves it. Felicity is a breeze right now to travel with, so we are planning on going sometime this summer. We'll see when it actually happens and if it actually happens, but very excited about that. Excited to see some of the new stuff. There are a couple of restaurants we're wanting to try. Yeah, so that's kind of next on our radar. We might do a little weekend trip to Chicago, because we've never taken Gigi it's only a couple hour drive, and we've never taken Gigi to the Children's Museum there. I don't think I've ever been to the Children's Museum there at the Navy Pier. And it's just fun. It's fun to go to Chicago in the summer, because when I lived there, it was the school years that I was living there. And in the summer, I would go home because I was living in like dorm housing, you know. Except for the one year I finally left, I actually had an apartment. But anyway, because of that, I never got to experience Chicago in the summer, really. So anytime we've gone in the summer, it has been so lovely, and I love it because I'm like, wow, like this is what it's like. This is way better. Plus I can afford to go out to eat. I could not afford to go out to eat in college. So it's like nice to be like, oh, like I can actually enjoy some of the stuff in this city. So I'm excited if we end up doing that and taking them just for a night or two. Stay somewhere that maybe has like a pool, and so Gigi can play in it. And then it's also fun to go to the little lake beaches there when it's nice and bring some sand toys and stuff. So we'll see what we end up doing, but hopefully that is in the works as well. Y'all want to know what I'm wearing? So I put on the Dr. Jart Ceramidin cream. I still am loving this moisturizer so much, you guys, so much. So this, and then I put on the Say Glowy Super Gel, which I'm really enjoying as a glowy primer, and I'm now realizing I didn't put on SPF. Well, it's a rainy day today, so I guess there's that, but I try to wear it every day nonetheless. Estee Lauder Double Wear, still loving. I can't stop wearing it. I wear the shade 1 into Ecru, which is a perfect shade match for me. Then I'm wearing the Patrick Ta One Size Concealer in the shade Fair 3. You know I'm wearing the Summer Unrated palette from NARS. Then, shocker, the Makeup by Mario Brown eyeliner, the Wet n Wild Breakup Proof waterproof liquid liner, love that. The Essence Volume Stylish Mascara, my #1 favorite mascara. It's like $5. And then on my cheeks, on my under eye, I use the Bare Minerals Original Mineral Veil to set my under eye. And then the Say Sun Melt Cream Bronzer, the Stila Convertible Color in Lilium, and then the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light Wand in Spotlight. Love that stuff. And then, the powder foundation I threw on the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Skin Everywhere. And then I just put on my lips the Makeup Forever liner in Anywhere Caffeine, and then the Merit lipstick in Slip. I love this stuff. Anyway, so I'm gonna let you guys go there. I was just kind of going through the questions, and a lot of repeats of ones I just answered. So I hope that was fun. It was fun for me. I love doing this once a month and just catching up with you guys on how things are going, what's going on in my life. I know for me, when YouTubers I like do these kinds of videos, they're my favorite because I feel attached to them at this point. I feel like I'm friends with them. And so it's nice to just like kind of, it's like having an actual little chat with coffee with them and getting ready. And anyway, so I hope you're enjoying them as well. If you are, please give this a thumbs up. Definitely check out some of my past ones. I'll link my whole playlist. I always add them to that playlist if you want to, maybe you missed one here or there, you want to just hear about certain topics. Again, if you want to check out Storyworth, you can go to storyworth.com/JessicaB to get $10 off your first purchase. We are cherishing these stories that we're learning from our family, and I know you guys will too. What do we have? Father's Day in like 2 seconds. So it's a great time. It's a great gift idea. Trust me. And I know you guys will love it too. I'll have the link right there in the top of the description box. Thank you again, Storyworth, for sponsoring a portion of this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.